is up, MSM? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam, and we've got some announcements that we're going to get to, but first I want to let you all know we're starting a new series today called Emotions, and I want to know what emotion you felt the most this week. Maybe it was happiness, maybe it was sadness, maybe it was joy, maybe it was anger, maybe it was stress. What emotion have you experienced the most of, and why? Put that down in the chat below, and let's start to talk about it in the chat. So, first off with announcements, here's what we got going on this week. Like I said, we're starting our new series, and that means we get to start reading the Bible together as well on the YouVersion app. We'll also be sending out some printable resources for you so that you can read along if you don't have the app or just would rather use paper. That's totally cool. We'll be emailing those out to you more than likely Monday or Tuesday, right around in that time. But as well, we do have the YouVersion app that you can download and read it all together with us. The cool part about that is that you can actually make comments and talk with your friends and your leaders about what you're reading in the Bible. Sometimes you get confused. I do too, about what I'm reading in the Bible. And that's a great way for you to participate and actually get some clarity about what you're reading. So it's not boring or confusing, but you can actually talk about it. You can do that by clicking the link below. In our little link tree, you'll see Bible reading plan. Click that. It'll get you to the YouVersion app to download if you haven't already downloaded it, or it'll get you directly to the plan that you need to be a part of, which is the Emotions series that we're going to be walking through together. It's going to be a great time. But when we have another great time is life groups on Tuesday nights. In person, we do Tuesday nights every single week from 7 to 8 p.m. We get here, we hang out, we have a great time, and we also do small groups as well as a part of that time. So y'all get some FaceTime with your friends and some hangout time too. For online groups, we do every first and third Tuesday from 7:15 to 8 p.m. 45 minutes, quick meetup and hangout for you as well online. If you want the link for that, it should be right below and in every single email that we send out to you as well. So if you can't access the link below, if you don't have a phone or something like that, that's totally okay. Your parents have that email as well, and it is the same link that we used last semester too. So if for some reason you don't have the email, let me know. Or you can also go back into an old email and use that same old link to be a part of life groups online every first and third Tuesday of each month. Next, we want to talk about some exciting stuff. Wait, hold on. It's still in the works. We got some really fun stuff that we're planning for our winter time together. And we'll let you know more about that coming up in just a few weeks. So hold on to that excitement. We're going to do some fun stuff coming up this winter that we are planning right now, and I can't wait to let you know. But as of right now, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what it takes to express our emotions in a healthy way. We're going to jump into today's message, so buckle up, put your helmet on. Today we're talking about emotions. Well, what is up, MSM? It is great to see you. My name is Sam, and we are in week 1 of our series called Emotions, where we are learning what it takes to express our emotions in a healthy way. Express our emotions in a healthy way. We're going to answer the question today, where is God when I feel hurt? Where is God when I feel hurt? Does he feel upset at me when I feel hurt? Like, I can't believe that they were feeling hurt by what that other person said. Don't they understand I'm God and I have to put up with a lot? Is that the way he feels? Is he disappointed in us? Crossed arms. Can't believe they were hurt by that little. I guess they're just not as tough as I thought they would be. Is he indifferent towards us? Hey, if they're feeling hurt, you do you. I got other stuff going on. I got to go be God. Is that the way he feels? Does he care at all when we feel hurt? We're going to be learning what it takes to express our emotions in a healthy way, because how many of y'all have ever been on some receiving end of someone feeling hurt and it didn't feel too good? They said something because they were hurt, and later they realized they needed to apologize for it, or at least should apologize for it. Maybe you said something when you were hurting. You did something when you were hurting, and later you look back on it and you go, oh, I wish I wouldn't have said that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have expressed that in a healthy way, in a healthy manner. So we're going to look at that today. We're going to figure out how to express our hurt in a matter that is helpful, in a way in which is actually God-honoring and is a good way to express our hurt. Now, here's the thing. In this series, I want us to be very, very clear. There's not a list of good emotions and a list of bad emotions. It's not like we can't feel one emotion, but it's all in the way we express our emotions. Jesus had a ton of emotions. Somebody sat down and looked at all the different emotions that Jesus might have experienced, and they came up with 39 different emotions. And there was one moment in my life where I'm pretty sure that I experienced all 39 of those emotions. Maybe you're a little bit like me, and you're like, yeah, sometimes I experience all the emotions in one day. There was one time specifically when I felt like I might have. I was about 7 years old. I was not where I was supposed to be. I snuck into my mom's kitchen area, and I opened up the refrigerator. I knew she was taking a nap. The one time in her whole tenure and her whole career as a mom, she was taking a nap. And what did I do? I chugged all of that soda. 2 liters in my belly. Now, what happened? I got this insane sugar rush from it. I went up. I had that syrupy, sweet, sugary smile plastered to my face. I was so happy for about 20 minutes. And then what happened? Boom! I crash and I hit the pavement, right? I'm so sad. I'm crying. I'm like, what is going on with me? Why is life so miserable? Because the sugar was gone and I crash hard. I experienced all of those emotions, or at least some of them. Now, Jesus experienced, according to someone, 39 different emotions. That's ridiculous. We not only have a God that's able to sympathize with us and go, oh, that's sad that that's happening to you, or oh, I'm happy for you. But because of Jesus, we have a God that can empathize with us as well. He can say, I know what it's like to sit in your shoes. I feel what you feel. I understand and I can feel what you feel. That's amazing. We don't have an impersonal, indifferent God, but we have a personal God who is closer than what we might feel like, and he cares about us. Here's what we know about God. He has all the emotions. And since we're in Christ, we get to, with the power in us now that lives through him, express our emotions in a way that is helpful and is healthy and doesn't lead to burnout and blow out and blow up, but it leads to helpful conversations and healthy expressions of emotions. We see God has all the emotions though, right? God looked over Jerusalem at people rejecting God, and he was sad. He was sad. Why? Because people were rejecting the thing that would help them, and he was grieved. It meant that he was mourning. He was troubled by that. When religious people cared more about rules than they did about God, and more about rules than they did about people, God got angry. It's okay for God to be angry. It's right sometimes for God to be angry. He expresses it in a perfect way. Not like you and me most of the time. Week 3, we're going to talk about how to be angry like Jesus. You're not going to want to miss that one. When Jesus' friend Lazarus died, Jesus was sad. It said that Jesus wept. He cried bitter tears, like big, ugly cry. Like when your team loses the Super Bowl. I'm kidding. But he cried big tears. Why? It was appropriate. His friend had just died. If you're not crying, if you're not sad at that point in time, what's going on? If we don't have a God that's able to empathize with us and grieve with us in our moments of sadness, it might not be too helpful. But Jesus demonstrated the emotion of sadness and of grief. And I'm sure there was that moment before he started crying too, where it's just like, what? The emotion of shock. He's felt that too. He's felt all the emotions, expressed them correctly. We're not always going to, but that's okay, because there's grace and mercy new every single morning. God's also happy. It says in Psalm 104, verse 31, the glory of the Lord shall endure forever. That's pretty cool. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. In other words, he sees what's going on, he sees what he's doing, and he's happy about it. He's excited about it. That's a good thing. You get a good grade on a test, you should be happy, man. You should be happy when you finish the project on time and you were like, whew, thank goodness I got it done. That's an okay thing to be happy. That's an okay thing to smile as you walk around your classroom or log on to your Zoom class. That's a good thing. Before the cross, Jesus was discouraged. He was lonely. He was in spiritual agony. He was stressed out. Why? Because he knew what was about to happen. And for him to perceive reality correctly probably meant that he was going to be discouraged. Oh, this is happening. This is wild. He was lonely. His friends had abandoned him. He knows what that's like. If you're in school and you feel like your friends abandon you, you don't just have a God who sits in heaven and goes, don't be lonely. But you have a God who knows what it's like for his friends to abandon him and knows what it's like to walk through that and to love anyway and to restore friendships and to make great friends. Your God knows what it feels like to be lonely and abandoned. That's incredible. And Jesus expressed it in the right and the God-honoring way. So we're going to talk here in Luke chapter 7. We're going to look at one of the first emotions that we see in this portion of our Bible from Jesus. One of the first emotions that we see after he gets done speaking to a bunch of people on a mountain. I'm talking a ton of people. He gets done speaking, and this is what happens. Luke chapter 7, verse 11 through 16 in the NLT. If you're with me, go ahead, turn there, scroll there, whatever you're doing, go for it. It says this in verse 11. Soon after, Jesus went with his disciples to the village of Nain, and a large crowd followed him. Verse 12, a funeral procession was coming out as he was approaching the village gate. Sad day. The young man who had died was a widow's only son, and a large crowd from the village was with her. Even more sad. We're going to talk about why in just a few minutes. When the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with anger. When the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with joy. When the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with disappointment in her for having an emotion. When the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with compassion. Overflowed with compassion. I love that. He instructed her, don't cry. He was going to give her a reason not to cry soon. He wasn't just saying, don't cry, be stone cold. He said, don't cry. Then he walked over to the coffin and touched it. And the bearers stopped. The people carrying the coffin stopped. Young man, he said, I tell you, get up. Then the dead boy sat up and began to speak. What? Then the dead boy began to get up and to talk. And Jesus gave him back to his mother. Great fear swept the crowd, and they praised God, saying, a mighty prophet has risen among us, and God has visited his people today. Now let's clear something up really quick here. When it says a great fear swept over the people, it wasn't fear like, oh, I'm in trouble. It wasn't fear like, oh, I'm so scared I'm about to get squashed, right? It wasn't that type of fear. A great fear swept over the people in the same way you and I would look out at the Grand Canyon and go, whoa, that's amazing. The same way we would look at maybe a spectacular event and go, whoa, that's amazing. We feel small in the presence of the Grand Canyon or of the Rocky Mountains or of the beaches of Hawaii. We see the waves coming in and crashing. We go, whoa, that's the type of fear that was happening in the people's heart. Not in the fear like, oh no, God's angry at me. He's going to squash me. All right, so let's kind of talk about what's going on here. We got to visualize what's happening. Funeral's going on. Everyone's upset. Everyone's sad, rightfully so. I want us to kind of identify and think about what it would like to be this mom. It says that she's a widow, so she had already lost her husband. We don't know at what time, how long the deaths were apart, but we do know that she had lost her husband. That was probably one of the worst days of her life. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose somebody that I love, let alone lose a spouse. If I lost Bree, I would be wrecked. That would definitely be probably the worst day of my whole entire life. Without a doubt, without question, without hesitation. And then this lady not only goes through that, but she goes through losing her son, and her only son. Think about this. She more than likely, every time she looked at her son, saw a little bit of her husband and went, at least I have a little bit left. You know, he walks just like him. There's that same glimmer in the eye when he makes a joke. He speaks the same way as his dad. He talks the same way sometimes. Sometimes he even has the same sense of humor. He's got the same hair color as his dad. I'm just so thankful for my son. And then her son passes away. That had to be one of the worst moments in this lady's entire life. And Jesus walks up and says, don't cry. Why? Because he's about to enter into the story and start to restore what's going on. He's about to set everything right. And we see here in Luke chapter 7, verse 13, that over 40 times in the gospel, actually, Jesus sees somebody. And in Luke chapter 7, verse 13, it says, the Lord saw her. The Lord saw her. He didn't just walk by and glance, but he saw her. This means that he actually noticed her. See, I want us to understand very clearly that when we feel like we're hurting, whether it's on this lady's level of hurt or not, when we feel like we're hurting, the Lord, he sees us. He sees us, and he doesn't just glance at us. He notices us. He notices us. Sometimes we see things, but we don't notice, right? Sometimes we're looking for stuff and we see it, but we don't notice it. How many of y'all ever look for a laptop, an iPhone, a pencil, a pen, a piece of paper, your socks, and you saw them, but you didn't notice them? This happens to me all the time. I'll be rifling through my sock drawer looking for socks, and I can't find my white socks that I want. I wear Converse sometimes, and I wear white Converse most of the time when I do wear Converse, and I need white socks for them. It's just the way it works. And I'm looking through my sock drawer and I can't find any. So what do? In all of my wisdom, I go, babe, do you know where my white socks are? And that's Bree's cue to go, have you moved anything around or are you just calling on me? And I would go, you're right. I need to move stuff around and look. And I move stuff around and look. And then what do? I don't find them. I don't. I know they're there. They're in the drawer, but I still can't find them. So sooner or later, as I struggle, Bree, my wife, will come over and find my socks. She'll reach into the sock drawer. I don't know where she finds them, but it feels like they were glued to her hand when they were in there. Boom, she pulls them out of obscurity and out of oblivia. And she's got them right in her hand. She goes, and that's my cue to go, I'm sorry. She notices them. I see them, but I don't notice them. There's a difference between seeing and noticing. And Jesus sees and he noticed this woman. He sees and he notices her. He didn't just look, he actually noticed her. And based on that, we can know that we don't serve an impersonal God that is angry at us when we feel we're hurt, that is disappointed in us when we feel we're hurting. He's not angry or disappointed or upset at us. It's not unfair of us for us to feel hurt. As a matter of fact, he's not distant. He's not far off. He's actually very, very close and very, very personal. He's right here with us, experiencing the moments that we experience in real time. He's not just off, far away, cosmic police officer, only going to get involved when something goes bad. Only going to get involved when we mess something up. He is personal Father to us. God's personal Father to us. And he notices you and I as I go through pain. That makes a big difference. He not only noticed, but he saw. What did he feel for her? Again, did he experience anger? towards her? Did he experience upsetness? Was he enraged by her feelings? No. It says when the Lord saw her, his heart overflowed with compassion. Overflowed with compassion. I love that because it's not like he experienced just a little bit of compassion for her. He's like, I guess I should do something. This is kind of like my thing that I do down here. No, he moved into action because his heart overflowed with compassion. He wasn't the angry person that went, begrudgingly, I'll get involved. He overflowed with compassion. He was ready to get involved in the scenario. He woke up wanting to be involved in that scenario. So based off this, when we're hurting, God isn't saying, get over it. God isn't saying, well, it's your fault anyway. God isn't saying, I'm kind of disappointed in you. As a matter of fact, he sees us, he notices us, and his heart is overflowing with compassion. Then what does he do? He touches the coffin. He touches the very thing that is causing her pain. He puts his hand right on the issue. This would have been scandalous back in the day. This would have been ridiculous to have happened back in the day, that he would touch a coffin. Because you see, religious people, not Christians, but religious people made rules that said you couldn't touch a coffin. It was against the rules. It was bad. You couldn't do it. They had drawn a line and said, don't cross it. But Jesus is in the habit of crossing lines, not to exclude people, but to bring people in. We're a family following Jesus, and that means we don't draw lines to keep people out. We cross lines to bring people in, and that's exactly what Jesus did. People love to make up rules in order to keep people out, but Jesus, time and time again, not only in this instance, but all throughout Scripture, demonstrates that he crossed those lines not to just be a rebel, not for fun, but he crossed those barriers to bring people in, and that's exactly what he does with this lady. He could have went, well, I'm not allowed to touch coffins, so I guess you'll have to bear up under your grief. I can help you with that, though. No, he did something even more awesome. He touched the coffin, healed the boy, came back to life, and gave this woman her son back. All of those times that she spent celebrating his birthday, all of those times that she had spent celebrating holidays, seeing him grow up, watching him fall as he started to walk, watching him eat his first meal, watching him understand what it meant to learn and to grow. She all of a sudden got all of that back. Every moment that she felt was robbed of her and stained with this messy death, all of a sudden she got back, and she got it restored. Something that had been marred, something that had been absolutely destroyed in her mind, was actually restored. The Lord saw, the Lord cared, and the Lord restored. He repaired. You see, God's in the business, and he's in the whole industry of crossing lines in order to repair people and scenarios and repair emotions. That's his whole role. He loves doing that. He's not burdened by it. He's not upset at us. He's not angry at us. He's not impatient with us. He's patient. He sees us and he cares. When I first started going to church, I didn't understand. When I first came back to starting to go to church, I always grew up in church, but I spent some years away from it. And then I started going back to church when I was about 17 years old. And I was kind of a little bit angry because I didn't have many friends. And I was kind of angry at God for not giving me a ton of friends. I viewed him as the person that was supposed to supply me with great friends, and I thought he was failing because he didn't give me good friends. That's not the way this works. But I was kind of upset. And so I talked to God about it. I prayed. That's all prayer is it's talking to God. And I voiced my frustration. I didn't even voice it in a correct way. I didn't even voice it in a way that was really honoring to him. I was kind of frustrated. But God's big enough to handle our frustration. And I kind of talked to him about it and said, hey, listen, God, I'm really upset that I don't have any awesome friends. I feel all alone. And I feel like no one sees me and no one cares. I'm going to this youth group. I'm going to church just the way you asked me to. And I don't see anybody that I'm supposed to get along with and be actual friends with. And over the course of the next few weeks, I met this guy named TJ. And TJ was awesome. He walked up to me right away and we had a ton in common. He was like, hey, are you homeschooled? I think he could tell by like my long white socks and my jean shorts and my like oversized shirt that I wore at the time. I looked homeschooled, or at least what he thought looked homeschooled. So he's like, hey man, are you homeschooled? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what are you reading? Because he loved to read, and I love to read. So we talked about the books that we were reading. We talked about the TV shows that we watched. And all of a sudden, not only a friendship started to develop, but he started to teach me and to train me and to coach me on some things that I was having trouble with. And I'm so, so grateful that in those moments of my sadness, God wasn't indifferent to me. God didn't not care. God wasn't angry at me. But he listened, he saw me, and he started to repair me. So today, in your moments of deepest sadness, where do you think God is? I'll bet he's closer than what you think he is. Where do you think Jesus is going to show up in your life? Maybe it's when you fail that test, and you're like, I can't believe I failed that test. I'm so sad about it. In your moment of deepest sadness, when your family frustrates you, when someone picks on you, when someone lets you down, when you let yourself down, where do you think God is? What we see in this lady's story, and in Luke chapter 7, we see that he's actually not far away. That he's actually right with us, experiencing it as we live it out, and wants to be involved with it. He's not distant. He's not angry. He's personal. He's close. He sees us. He notices us. And he's ready to repair not only us, but the scenario and our emotions. So my challenge to you is to invite God into the process. I didn't even do it perfectly. I just kind of word vomited to God. Invite God into the process. God, I'm frustrated with my family and I feel sad. God, I'm frustrated with my grades and I feel like I'm hurting. God, I'm frustrated with my friends. I feel like I'm hurting them. I feel like they're hurting me. I'm frustrated. Invite God into that process. He wants to be right there with you. He's in the business of being close and restoring you and scenarios. He wakes up, no, not that he wakes up, but he thinks about it all the time. He's invested in repairing those scenarios. Finally, my encouragement to you is to let leaders partner with you. Let your small group leaders partner with you. Let them in on the experience. They wake up thinking about how they can help you. They wake up thinking about how they can help you experience the emotions and express your emotions in a helpful way. They're not just here to tell you to slow down. They're not just here to tell you to be happy or to not be angry or to make sure to always be joyful. They're here to actually help you express emotions correctly. They're here to help you grow. They want to be alongside you as you walk through what it looks like to express emotions in a healthy manner. But whatever you do this week, here's what I want you to know. As you feel like you're hurting, God sees you, He notices you, He cares, and He wants to restore that scenario. And I would encourage you, invite your leaders into the process with you and invite God into the process with you as well. We love you, MSM. Peace.
Good morning, CPC. Can we stand up? Let's worship together.
Saturday.